When I started my channel almost 3 years ago, one of my followers early on, Dennis, his name on YouTube used to be Mike Hunt, and I did not know what that meant until he told me. But he has since changed his name. And Dennis, I found the video that we've been trying to do for the last basically 3 years. I have a 373, almost forgot, and a 410. So, as you know, the higher you go on the numeric axle ratio in the rear, the lower your fuel economy goes, but the better the acceleration gets. Today, we're going to test both. We're going to see which truck gets the best acceleration, and we're going to see which truck gets the best fuel economy. Now, if physics, is it physics? I guess it's physics. Now, if engineering, let's just use that word, is correct, this truck should get the best fuel economy, and this truck should get the best performance because of the axle ratio. But nevertheless, let's get started. They're both tradesmen's, they're both crew cabs, they're both short beds. This is the best of the best of the best of the best. So as you guys know, I'm going to show you the payload in this video, and that should give us a good number aspect too of how heavy these trucks are. So let's go ahead and drive this truck first. All right, here we go. It's been a while since I've driven a HEMI. I actually really like this truck. I just reset the fuel economy at the dealership. And again, this fuel economy is going to have acceleration in it, everything. I'm not going to reset it while I'm cruising. I think that it's kind of hard to really gauge it from that. I'm getting high numbers, and I prefer to kind of do something a little bit more real world. So we'll just do this different. And I'll do the same thing for both trucks. But I do enjoy driving these 3/4 tons. I really want them to increase the GVWR for the diesel, not for the HEMI. And I know that people are like, the payload and the gross fuel weight rating are just, they're not numbers you need to look at, but you really do need to look at those numbers, because there are some restrictions for you that could affect your warranty. It could affect you if you are insured. So me personally, if you were to get cited for it, I know a lot of people say you can't get cited by a state trooper, but I don't know. I keep hearing different sides of that. If they decide they want to pull you over, they definitely can do so and weigh you actually on the road. So I think staying below your payload is a good idea, and I strongly recommend you do that. Hey, you can do whatever you want to do. I'm just telling you what I do. And if I have to ever move to a dually, I don't really want a dually right now, but if I have to step up to one, I will. But so far, engine is so quiet. Love the transmission. You don't really feel it shifting. I'm gonna get it to shift a little bit. Yeah, you don't feel it at all. And because it's so many gears, it just runs at like low RPMs. I mean, I'm running at, how about, let me see here. 40 miles an hour, I'm at about 1250. Almost feel like the truck's on cut off. But we're gonna go up here in a second. I'm gonna do an acceleration test. We're gonna go down the highway, and then from there I'll show you guys the fuel economy at some point. If you're new to Ram or you're doing some research, this is gonna be a 6.4 liter HEMI, which is a gas engine. It's gonna be good for 410 horsepower, 429 pound-feet of torque. And if you were looking at a Cummins, you cannot get a 410 on that setup unless you get a dual rear wheel option. But this is mated to an 8-speed transmission. I do believe that with that 8-speed on the highway, you should be able to get at least 17 on a good day. I mean, real world driving, obviously. This is a ZF transmission. It's a German-made trans, and I've heard that it's pretty reliable. And I haven't heard people complaining about them having issues with them, so that's a good thing. Alrighty, so the engine is all warmed up, so hopefully you guys can see the miles per hour and all that good stuff. Alright, so I'm gonna try to do this from the same spot each time. Alright, waiting for some traffic to go by. Here we go. the first modifications I would do with this truck is tires. It is cold out, so I expect the tires to have some slippage. But even when it was like 90 degrees outside, 95 degrees outside, I was having issues with getting traction. I'm down to 9.9 MPG after that acceleration test. So now it's just smooth sailing from here. But the first thing I would do to this truck 100% is tires. I feel like these tires, like, yeah, they have some sway. I mean, let me see what the PSIs are. I know you guys get on me for that. Sometimes I don't have the time or the tools to go air up tires so quickly. Oh, actually, they're at 80 PSI. And I've only driven like, you know, maybe 6 miles so far. So, and it's cold outside. It's only 53 degrees. But nevertheless, these tires are just, if you don't want to waste money on, you know, taking these tires off, obviously you can let them run down. But I've said it in other videos too, these tires really do wear out pretty quickly when you're towing. I tow a lot, and my first truck at about 16,000 miles, they were like, probably by 25 I was going to have to get new tires. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, just, hey, if you have the money, just go ahead and upgrade them. And you can sell them on Craigslist. When I got my 3500, I sold my tires within like a week. The guy had needed some Firestone tires. He's like, hey, I just want to, I'm actually selling the truck, and I just want a cheap tire solution, so can I just buy yours? It was a perfect setup. I think I sold them for like $400 or $500. Alrighty, so I'm about to make my U-turn at 6.5 miles. So I'll probably do about maybe 13 miles round trip. So I'm at 12.8 MPG. This is more real world of what you're gonna get with this HEMI. Now keep in mind, this is the 373, so I cannot wait to see what that 410 is gonna do. I'm hoping I can get to about 14. That's really the goal for this truck for me. Like, I think 14 combined, because I mean, with that acceleration, that's gonna really hurt this. And that's why I felt like doing it at the dealership was the best way to go, because it allows us to really get more of a real world number with just about 12 miles of driving. But yeah, I'm at 65. Let's set that cruise control, and I will check back in here in a second. If you are looking at this 6.4 liter HEMI, Chrysler does recommend using 89 octane. I thought that would be something good to mention in this video. If you look at the owner's manual, it says 89. 87 is acceptable. If you just want to run 87, by all means. I mean, I get it. I don't want to spend more fuel economy because President Brandon has completely turned the fuel to a crisis when it wasn't. But fuel is expensive right now, and I think that for a lot of people, if you can save a little bit of money, you could use 87. Now, I will say, count the cost of using a lower grade, or not really just a lower grade fuel, but just a lower octane fuel. That number measures the knock. I think it's AKI. I did some research a long time ago, and I remember I decided to always run at least 89 or 93 if I could, depending on the car. If I have like a, you know, regular car, I'm not going to run 93. But if I have like a truck like this, I would just run to 89, just because it's going to help with the knocking in the engine. This truck does have MDS, which is multi-displacement system, so it will drop down to 4 cylinders. I have not noticed that happened on this drive. I did not take it out of automatic mode. Like, I didn't use the gear limiter, so I have not seen it come on yet. Normally I thought it showed like a little leaf or something, but I'm not noticing that. But we've already driven 9.3 miles, 13 MPG. We might get to 14. 14.5 to 14.7 would be a great number. But, you know, if you're on the highway just cruising, you can easily get 17 if you're doing about 70 miles an hour or less. The goal is to try to keep the RPMs under 1,500 RPMs. I'm at 65 miles an hour. I'm in between 1,500 and 1,750. That's right where I'm at. Okay, so I just saw it come on. So it says Eco here. Let me show you. I'm going to show you guys real quickly. There you go. So there's like a little Eco. There is actually a noticeable noise change, like when you do go uphill. you can kind of hear it disengage, or before it disengages, you can kind of hear something. So the MDF did come on. It shows a eco, as I showed you on that camera. I'm on my last leg. So this road is going to be about a 45-mile-an-hour road. We'll run it at 45 miles an hour. I'm really wondering if this test is pointless unless I do it for like 100 miles or more. I'm at 13.6. I can easily get to 14. So we'll see how it all shakes up. But I'll check back in one last time once we get to the dealership. I'll park the truck, and then from there, guys, that'll end this part of the test. And we'll jump in the 410 Ram 2500 HEMI and see what that one's going to do for us. Alrighty, we are back. And we are at 14.3. Wow. Alright, see, we're back. Right behind the other truck. 13.2 miles, 14.3. That's not bad. That is not bad for a truck that weighs... Actually, we don't know what it weighs. Let's go ahead and weigh it right now. Alright guys, so let's take a look at these numbers. You have a gross axle weight rating at 5,500 pounds. You also have a rear of 6,390 pounds with a 10,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating. All-in payload capacity is 3,242 pounds. So this truck weighs 6,758 pounds. So if you take the 10,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating and subtract it from your payload, that gives you the curb weight right here. So this truck's not that heavy. I tested a Chevy Silverado with a gas engine. Now granted, it wasn't LTZ, but that truck weighed 7,300 pounds on the curb. So there's definitely a huge difference with that truck because they did do a more robust frame and a few other components. But with that being said, let's go ahead and drive this beast. I gotta let it warm up a little bit and then we'll get down the road. Now we're driving the 410 equipped truck. Now if you don't know, I'll show you what the price of that 410 axle ratio is. This truck is going to give you max towing for the Ram 2500 HEMI. I strongly recommend, if you plan on towing a fifth wheel or something heavy that would give you a lot of pin weight from your trailer, my opinion is just get it one time. I think that the most valuable truck at some point will be a HEMI equipped 3500 with a 410. Truck can tow pretty big numbers, and it's really a truck you don't see a lot of. Now I wouldn't get it in a high trim level like a limited or a Longhorn limited Longhorn, excuse me, but a Laramie down all day long. Get the HEMI 410. Even if you want a mega cab, I mean, I think it's such a deal because the price point, number one, but number two, you get that more aggressive suspension out back. But if you were looking at a 2500 and you don't plan on hauling a heavy trailer, I mean, you can get a fifth wheel of this truck, it's not a problem. But I would strongly recommend getting the air suspension, although I did hear you can't get air suspension with the HEMI. I don't know why that is. I have to do that online. I have to build it. But nevertheless, I strongly recommend if you are buying a 2500, get the air suspension. Get it. It drives like a stinking half-ton truck, and it handles like a 1-ton. And on that note, we're about to do the acceleration test. Here we go. So this is where I ended it off, and I took a snapshot so you can see the 373 is actually moving a little bit quicker. But if you look at the footage again, the 410 truck shifted a little bit earlier than the 373, which really messed up the acceleration. So I may do this test again in the future. These trucks have already sold by now, but I just wanted to show this and kind of point that out. But be sure to put in the comment section if you saw anything else that I missed. It's probably just me, but that felt a little bit quicker. I feel like the traction control stayed on a lot longer. I didn't lay out of either acceleration either. I stayed in it the entire time. Same thing, tires, but this one felt like it was really going a little bit quicker. And only time will tell when I edit the video and I can put the videos side by side so you can see them. But don't get me wrong, I like to try to save money. I like to try to get the best fuel economy I can get. However, you are buying a big heavy duty truck, so you really shouldn't put all your eggs in a basket of trying to get 20 miles to the gallon. I know a lot of people have sticker shock when you go to fill these things up. Like, I have a diesel and I have a 31 gallon tank, and when I run that bad boy empty when I'm towing my fifth wheel and I go to fill up, especially right now, oh my goodness, it hurts. It hurts. But obviously, I like to try to count my dollars too. But do you need a 410 if you're not towing that much? I mean, the 373 is still a good option. I mean, it still had a lot of get up and go. And I feel like that HB does put that power down really good. You just have to make that decision. Hopefully this video will help some people out there who might be, you know, maybe on the fence either way. Alrighty, we are at the loop, and do you see what the fuel economy is? I want you guys to know I am not fluffing these numbers. I'm driving these trucks exactly the same. Now, I did not really show it to you here, but at the turnaround, I probably had about the same miles per gallon. Now, I got to get back up to 65 miles an hour, so I got about 10 more miles to go. 2 more miles an hour, that is. All right, we're almost there. So we're at 12 and a half at that loop. I'll check back in here in a second. If you are in the market for a tradesman, this is one of the best optioned HD trucks, with the exception of the Chevy Silverado Custom. I think that the Custom is the perfect HD truck if you want a gas engine, although they do offer it with a diesel now. I think that with the wheel selection, they paint the bumper so it gives it like that rugged look, kind of like the Power Wagon almost. I almost feel like Ram should do something similar. They have the Tradesman Power Wagon option, but it's, you know, it's like, what is it, like 7,000 or 8 grand? That Custom option, and you lose some GVWR because of it too, keep that in mind. But that Custom Chevy Silverado is the perfect truck if you're on a budget but you like that look of a nicer truck on the outside. Just my 2 cents. Well, guys, this is like my last leg of this trip. I'm at 11 miles, 13.4 MPG. It's getting a little scary out here. Yeah, 13.3, and I'm only going to be doing about 40 to 45 miles an hour on this back road here. It's very close. I mean, I can't imagine this truck getting the same number, but I'm going to cruise at the same speed as I did with the 373, and we'll see what it looks like. But we'll be back here in a second, and I'll pretty much wrap up the video from there. And one quick thing to mention too, this truck does have the Uconnect 5 system. It's definitely a step up in the right direction. This one has the navigation, and yeah, has dual climate control, but this does have that Tradesman level 2 equipment group. That's what I like about the HEMI too. If you really want to really deck this truck out, you have the option to do so because you have a lower price point. You save $9,400 up front not getting the diesel, and you can just really start picking other options that you would like to have on your truck if you don't want to step up to a Bighorn or Laramie. So this is a really good option for people who are on a budget, and these trucks are expensive today, so I don't blame you if you're trying to save some money. I mean, if I was buying a truck right now, I wouldn't be buying a Limited. I'd probably be looking at a Laramie or maybe even a Bighorn Mega Cab. Wow, you guys see that? 14.1. Oh, it just went down a little bit. I'm about to coast all the way back through here. The other truck's right there in front, and we ended off at 14 MPG. So it did get better with the 373, not by much. So you just have to figure out, is it really worth, you know, having the 410 to get the extra max towing, or are you happy with the towing numbers with this truck? And on that note, let's take a quick look at that. I'll show you guys the numbers on the door for this truck, and then that'll effectively end this video. So here's the towing numbers for the Ram with the 373. Max towing capacity is going to be 14,760 pounds compared to 16,960. So that's basically 2,200 pounds difference in towing numbers. All right, so here are the numbers for this truck. Nothing changes. And then here is the payload for this truck. So it's slightly lower by 135 pounds. Now keep in mind, this truck does have a spray and bed liner, fifth wheel prep package, and this truck does not. So that's really the only differences I can see, except this truck does have clearance lamps too. This truck does not have clearance lamps. But I was wondering if the bumpers probably weigh the same, even if they are chrome. But apart from that, I mean, they're essentially the same truck. And I think that having that spray and bed liner and that prep package for the fifth wheel is going to add a little bit of weight to the tune of about 135 pounds, plus the clearance lamps. This truck does not have any tow hooks, and this truck does not either. So those are really the only differences that I could see that would really add weight. But I hope this was helpful. Special shout out to Dennis again. You know, he was the one that asked me to do this video, so I wanted to make sure I did it. I did it for you, bro. I mean, I wanted to make sure I did this video. I found two of the identical trucks. Every time I would come to a dealership, they'd have all of them with 410s or none of them with the 373, or it just never lined up the way I wanted it to. And today, the stars have aligned yet again for me. Thank you, God, and I'll see you guys in the next video.